Well, I think probably everybody did some adjustment. I mean, um, life is different when you fill out the employment form and they get to the place where they ask, have you been convicted of a felony? And you have to check yes.
Yeah.
I mean, that alters your job prospects. So I'm sure everybody had their own way of sorting through that. But everybody that I know, and that's most of the people who were involved in the movement, all think of themselves as the better for having done it. I mean, and certainly, my prospects changed. I mean, I was at Stanford University. I was an honors student. I was student body president. I was on the ticket. I could on the ladder to success, and then I went off to the penitentiary. And when I got out of the penitentiary, I was divorced with a joint custody arrangement for my child. I hadn't graduated from college. I was still 15 incomplete units short of my Stanford degree. And I had to find some way to make money. And I took a flyer and wrote a letter to Jan Wenner at Rolling Stone saying, I have this stuff I've been writing as part of the anti-war movement. Maybe you'd like to put some of it in your paper. And he wrote back saying, no, he didn't want any of that, but would I like a tryout? And I said, sure. And I took my tryout, and the story I produced was picked for the best of 25 years Rolling Stone volume.
Wow.
And I won my spurs, and I got a contributing editor's contract, and I went off. I never studied any journalism. I knew I could write, but that was in the days, particularly a place like Rolling Stone, where that's all you had to be able to do. You didn't have to show them any kind of degree. And I became a journalist, and glad to have done it. I'm not sure that's what I would have done if there had been no Vietnam War. And it wasn't like I made a thoughtful career choice. I was broke and desperate, and I grabbed the first life jacket that came by, and was glad to have it. So, and I'm sure everybody had some version of that experience. Everybody was doing a double take in their lives because the original plan had disappeared somewhere back there during the war. And, particularly for those of us who were in the penitentiary, it was hard to even remember what you had expected yourself to be before all of that experience. But whatever it was, you cannot underestimate the enormous human satisfaction there is from having been right and acted on it. That's an extraordinary gift. That's worth 10 or 12 jobs.
To support what David said, because having made these films, these 3 films, and one about World War II, which was a very hard war to refuse to fight, and this one about Vietnam, is I have never talked to a resistor or someone who stood up against war who said, gee, I'm really sorry I did that. I mean, everybody who does this, I think it changes their lives. It changes the whole circle of people they spend their lives around. And it changes, and it gives them a great sense of connectedness and satisfaction. And it's a good choice. I've seen, from what I've seen, I haven't seen anybody say that was a bad choice.
Plus, it reflected the way we organized, which is we didn't try to rush people into being draft resistors. I mean, our approach was, look, this is a heavy duty decision. And when it comes time to do the time, you're going to have to do it yourself. Nobody can do it for you. We want to make sure, we didn't, the first rule was you couldn't talk anybody into doing it if you weren't already doing it yourself. Nobody got to proselytize unless they shared the risks. And And we fronted up the risks. And, so we could be sure people made good decisions, because we didn't want to get down the line in the penitentiary and have somebody falling apart because they, had been rushed into this. We wanted people who were serious, and we got that.